tonight is named after a man whose legacy in Pittsburgh, in the broadcast media, and even the paper media, is one that's second to none. Bill Steinbach was an employee at KDKA for over 37 years. Bill, in addition to his love for radio, he had a love for motorsports. Back in the late 70s, it was really the forerunner to what many of the announcers today only dream of. Bill, at one point in time, broadcast from Heidelberg, South Park, Lernerville, North Hills, and Pittsburgh, just to name a few. Bill also wrote a column in the Post-Gazette, and back then, as much today, we very seldom get a whole lot of information out from the media in our Post-Gazettes and our media, so it was real important to Bill at that point in time. This year's recipient is a team. Unlike in most pasts, we usually have one award winner. And these two individuals came on the scene 2 years ago with a show called Open Throttle 360. I've known Tom for probably the better part of 20 years. Tripp, I've only known Tripp recently. But in talking to these two gentlemen over the last few weeks and letting them know about the award, I can't imagine when you watch the show, one without the other. I mean, it's just a wonderful feeling. What Tom might have in experts of dirt, Tripp has the experts in production. And if you watch them too, I mean, they're like bantering wives on the TV sometime, and it is just wonderful. But for them to bring our sport of auto racing, which was Bill Steinbach's main goal, to millions of homes, these two gentlemen just couldn't be any more deserving of this award. So Tom Lang and Tripp Clarke, congratulations on the 2014 Bill Steinbach Memorial Award.
Well, on behalf of the crew at Open Throttle 360 and all the production team at 321 Blink, I want to thank all of you for this award. It's humbling and unexpected, frankly, and very, very much appreciated to be welcomed into your family. When we started Open Throttle 360 a few years ago, we knew how to produce a TV show. We knew how about video production, but beyond a love of muscle cars and NASCAR, really didn't know much about the local racing scene. So we surrounded ourselves with great people and great friends and great sponsors, and just wanted to put out a show that we thought highlighted the local racing and motorsport scene, as well as paid tribute to some of the great racers of past and of present. So the show would not be possible without recruiting Tom Lang. He is the brains of the show, and lends credence to, we put it out there and make it look good, and hopefully you guys like it and will tune in. In fact, we'll be back on spring of this year in May. But it wouldn't have happened without Tom. So I'm going to shut up because he has the gift of gab and I don't necessarily, so Tom Lang.
I'd like to thank the Circle Track Club for even considering us for this award. I've been a motorsports journalist since 1989 when I first met Don Gamble. And later that year, Don had a Christmas party at his house, and I got to meet Bill Steinbach. And at that party, Bill told me that he just loved listening to my reports on Rappin' on Racing. You didn't grow up in Pittsburgh when I did not know who Bill Steinbach was. And for a guy like him to say those kind of words to a neophyte journalist like me, it's a good thing I wasn't riding a motorcycle that night. I'd have never got my helmet back on. And those words meant a lot to me and have carried me through my career. Open Throttle 360, it truly does take a team to make that show, and it's a lot like a race team. And right now, I feel like the driver who's in the winner's circle. I guess I consider myself the driver because I'm the host and I'm the one you see on TV. But there's a whole lot of people, and I know some of them in this room, especially like Mr. Lizakowski over here, could do that job easily as well, if not better than me. But I think maybe I got the gig because nobody would work cheaper than me. But just like a driver in the winner's circle that thanks the crew, I need to thank the crew of Open Throttle 360. As I said, it's like a race team. And this is our team owner right here, our executive producer, Tripp Clarke. He and his partner, Tim McLaughlin, own 321 Blink. It's the production company that makes Open Throttle 360. And nobody works harder to make this show happen than Tripp Clarke. From the moment last year's show ended, he was hard at work trying to find sponsors to make sure we stay on the air. And he's truly the driving force behind the show. We've got a crew chief. His name is Zach Heaps. Zach has a master's degree in this video production stuff. He was teaching at Chatham. He's an adjunct professor. He's a great guy to work with, very talented. He's our senior editor, a producer. He's wielded a camera. And if you go back and look at the first season show versus this past season, you can see how the quality of the show has progressed. And that's one thing people always tell me they're impressed with, is the quality of the production. Well, I have nothing to do with that production. It's Zach and his team, and that team includes Scott Peters, Valerie Train, Elisis Heaps, Tim Roberts, who's here shooting with us tonight, Michael Wolf, Brandon Marks. They all are responsible for making the show that you see. And there's also another person, her name's Melissa Babiak. She came on board to be part of the team, and she does all kinds of grunt work and things I can't enumerate what she does, but she's a fabulous person to work with, and she helps make the show what it is, as do all the people that work in the office back at 321 Blink. Like I said, it's a team. I mentioned it was Don Gamble that got me into motorsports journalism. If you've listened to Rapping on Racing, you may have heard the story of how we met. I was working at the post office. He was mailing Racing's Almost Perfect magazine. I had a Don Garlitz t-shirt on, so he gave me a copy of the magazine, asked me what I thought. I said, well, there's no drag racing in it. And he looked at me and said, well, do you think you can write a drag racing column? And cocky young whippersnapper that I was, I said, yeah, sure, I can do that. And he said, well, what's the next race you're going to? I'll get you a press pass. Now, the next race I was going to was the U.S. Nationals, Labor Day weekend in Indianapolis. It's the Daytona 500, the Knoxville Nationals of drag racing. And I thought he was blowing smoke. When I showed up at Indy, there was a press pass for me, a pass to get me down on the starting line to shoot pictures. And I think I did two things that impressed him that day. One, I saw Linda Vaughn standing there, and I asked her to hold up the magazine like she was reading it so I could take her picture. And Don loved that picture. It kind of launched my career. And the other thing, it was, I guess, dumb luck. I didn't realize that I could go up in the tower and use the phone in the press room to call in to Rapping on Racing to do a live report. So I found a payphone. Well, it's a couple hundred feet off the track, but it was right by the finish line. So as I'm live on the air Saturday morning calling my report into Rapping on Racing, you could hear these cars behind me. Vroom! And Don thought that was such a great backdrop. He thought I planned that. No, sorry, but I mentioned that story because rather than just go find someone to do some drag racing, Don threw down the gauntlet to me and challenged me. If you want to see drag racing in my magazine, you want to hear it on my radio show, let's see you do something. Put up or shut up. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, telling the people in this room that, because these are the people that love this sport and make it happen. But we need to get that message out to some other people. We need some younger people as track announcers, as media, as track workers, promoters, car owners, whatever it might be. There are a lot of challenges facing this sport. And one of them is the fact that there's so many people will go to a racetrack, and the moment they see something they don't like, bang, they're on Facebook, complaining about it, whining about it, oh, this promoter stinks. This guy's nothing compared to Don Martin. Well, guess what? Not too many people were anything compared to Don Martin. And to steal a line from a basketball coach, Don Martin's not walking in that door. We need to figure out who's going to be the next Don Martin. And believe me, if Don did walk through that door, I'm not sure he could address all the challenges that the sport faces. One of them is the runaway costs of competing, whether it's running a race team, running a racetrack. And there's some people in this room right here that are addressing that challenge. Mike Leon and Vicky Emig with their Rush series, they're taking the bull by the horns and trying to help the future of this sport. But you know what? If you look on the internet, if you mention Vicky Emig, there's somebody that don't have the guts to put their own name up there, and they're tearing those people up because they don't like what they're doing. Well, if you don't like what they're doing, come up with a better solution. You know, don't just say, hey, this is what I want to see. Throw down that gauntlet, challenges people. Let's see what you can do to help this sport, because it does face a lot of challenges. But for those of us that love this sport, we can address them, and we can make this sport survive and make it better than it is now. So, as I said, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but we are the people that are going to get that message out. We are the people that are going to further this sport. And I really hope that Open Throttle 360 can play a part in that. You know, we've got the venue to get motorsports into millions of homes every weekend. And I hope that you like what we're doing. And I hope we can continue to do that and help this sport. And once again, I'd like to thank the